Welcome to the World Blockchain Roundtable. Today we are being hosted on Dan.social, just so everybody is aware of where you're joining us. We're missing the wonderful Joe Rotes today, so I'm jumping in, and my name is Lisa Mighty Davis, and you can find me at the Mighty Lair. We have our host for today, our I Am, the Emperor, the one and only. We also have Zach from Legacy Right and Andrew Joseph that joins him on the Legacy Right as well. And of course, the one and only Greg from Rivet. We may have Sean jumping in here or some of our other favorites that are a little tardy to the party, but we'll see. Today is the 239th episode.
Wow.
Calling it Fixing the Economy with Blockchain. So
it's a crazy, we were on Legacy Right last night and we were talking about this.
Okay.
About how there's this huge back catalog of just like really great content. Like when you go back and play some of this stuff, yeah, some of it hasn't aged well because some of the entire universe hasn't aged well since we started. But like some of it still holds, a lot of it still holds really true, and some of it is insightful. Like there are ideas in there people could dust off and run with to this day.
Yeah, I was thinking of that.
Just like great conversations to hear, you know?
Well, with some of when we get into current events, some of the big bombs that have gone off with the whistleblower stuff going with Coinbase right now, and data and all of that. Like if you go back to some of our previous shows, some of that really applies as well. So it's quite interesting. Sean says
we got some big names on here. Like we've had big names on here.
That's true.
People before they were famous too. Like most people only knew of the main Wikipedia founder, right? The guy who still runs it. And we've had the one who's more the limelight for his theses on here many times before. So you can go back in the back catalog and learn some things about him that you didn't know otherwise. It's a huge
founding of Wikipedia.
So many episodes. Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to go off on a tangent about that. I just thought like right now is the time to mention it for anyone watching. Like go back and watch some of that old stuff if you haven't.
And it's all saved on blockchain. You can go to Dan.social and look at the WBRT layer and watch all episodes. So check that out. First, a quick update on the WBRT layer ownership tokens or lot distribution from last week's episode, Blockchain Time Machine. That was fun. Each host from last week will receive 150 lot. Each lot topic contributor from last week will receive 150 lot. Last week's theme was nominated by I Am. He will receive an additional 150 lot. Ownership tokens come with perpetual passive income, free edits, and governance votes. WBRT DAO, January. Oh, this is exciting. Everybody needs to go and vote. So you log on to WBRT, go over on the side where the little hammer is, and you click governance, and you go and vote. And it's theme vote. So put in your vote. There are some great options on there. Should I scroll through the votes?
Sure, go for it. The ideas for next month?
Yeah,
let's do it.
Okay, I have Meme Asylum pulled up over there. Oh, I could just do it right here.
I'm gonna try to pull up choose. Oops, I just cannot seem to. I'm all thumbs with the keyboard.
Layers, governance.
The little icon with the globe on it, click on that one.
Globe, thank you. Layer GI, there we go. What should the governance be? It would help if I shared my screen.
It's the newest one. Should be the newest one.
Oh, it won't let me share my other.
Do you want me to share mine?
Yeah, please do, because it won't let me share outside this window.
Here we go.
Thank you. I am.
Where?
Hey.
There it is. Yeah, I'll zoom in. So these are our choices to vote on.
These are so fun. Whoa, Lord. Okay. So systems that should be used, blockchain and not centralized databases. Oh, see, that's a great one. How does blank work? Technical questions for the panel. That's scary. Ask any, ask any blockchain technology, software code, and computer science.
That's scary too.
Yeah.
Someone needs to vote for this. I want to learn about DPIN.
I thought we did
Same.
DPIN already.
We did once. As far as
we
We
I
did
remember.
once, but this is the deep dive that we want to get into.
Okay, so deep dive.
Someone's got to vote on it. No votes.
No votes. Can blockchain keep AI honest?
We kind of did that already.
Kind of did that one. 2026 predictions. That'll be good.
That was my vote, by the way.
That's good. Decentralized UBI, blockchain powered basic income, no government.
So how do we do UBI with no government
I
but
was
use a
gonna say-
blockchain?
Okay,
Well, I
interesting.
mean, one of the few things that governments can do is move money, and they do it poorly because they inflate it.
Yeah, interesting. Maybe use a meme asylum. Who knows? A little private therapy. I don't know. Crypto and gaming in 2026. Are we still early, or is it blockchain gaming narrative dead again? That's interesting. Privacy, and this was one of mine. So I meant to say privacy in 2026. Regulatory pushback versus fundamental human right to financial privacy. And that is my
deep dive on that one. That'd be good.
privacy. New year, new blockchains. What are some of the best new blockchain projects for 2026?
Nice.
Opting out with blockchain. That is also mine.
Nice.
I made a few suggestions this time.
Good.
Trying to get more active. One
I
panelist
love this idea.
give only one wrong answers. Oh goodness, but only one panelist. Thanks.
So that way we create arguments and hostility and anger and violence on the show.
Wonderful. Merry Christmas, everyone.
And maybe we randomize the person so that nobody knows who's giving the wrong answer at any given point. It'd be like a game of bullshit.
Yeah, we could do that in the private chat and the audience wouldn't see that.
You tag off to each other. That's a good idea. Mining blockchains versus 100% tokens available on launch day. That's interesting. That's a great conversation.
That's it.
All right, that's
So
it.
vote and commit.
You
I'm
must.
definitely committed.
We could use a dice roll
I'm
to
com-
randomize
I'm
it
committed as
actually if we
well.
wanted to.
Oh yeah, I could do a dice
Like
roll.
every question, you just roll the dice, and we'll have sort of a pre-filled, like whoever's in whatever slot, whatever dice number comes up, that's the person who's the wrong answer.
We need a
Rick,
Sheldon
it's a
Cooper
background now.
Dungeons and Dragons dice. It's like 16 faces.
I just wanted to mess with the backdrop.
Greg in
Fading
3D.
I'm
I was
gonna
getting tired. I was getting a little claustrophobic in that box. I needed to get out into the rest of the stage.
I'm
What
gonna
do you
need
need?
your help for that
Okay, let me get
as
in
well,
there.
because I can't
Yeah.
get to it for our questions for this week. But you have until next Tuesday at 9 a.m. Eastern to vote for themes. So make sure you get in and get your vote.
Do it
Fuck
today.
it. I'll change my background too.
Very good.
All right.
Yeah, I definitely want to get into silver when we get into current events. It's exciting.
No kidding. That would be exciting
Yeah,
conversation.
pretty exciting. So this week's theme, once again, is
This-
fixing the economy with blockchain and silver. Well, no, it's blockchain right now.
Can we fix it?
Yes, we can. Wait, that's a child's cartoon.
Yes, we can. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. All right. Are we ready to jump in? Is there anyone that would like to lay a foundation of this about this question or idea? Or
Why
before
don't
we jump into
you?
the
I am, because it was your topic.
I got nothing to add. No, I'm just kidding.
He just trying to put the conversation over a little bit, you know.
Yeah. No, the reason I did this and present or put this as a theme, which gosh, I don't know how long ago it was I was just thinking about money doesn't have to come from government. And what would that do? Well, it would probably fix the economy, but how would you do money that didn't come from the government and make it, fair distribution and all those kinds of things? And so the only thing I could think of was implementing a blockchain to do that with. And so hence the idea of if like say the Federal Reserve and central banking is the problem for the economy, then it has to be replaced with something. And that's where one of the strengths that blockchain has, either transparency or privacy or something in between. And that was the how I guess this idea for the theme for this show came up was, all right, well, we got a bad economy, or we've gone through bad parts, bad times in the economy. How could it be resolved? And could blockchain do it? So we could discuss this with a panel of experts on blockchain and economics. And here we are today. And I'm going to get more live because I presented this idea. It got voted on and it's in the show. So I'm making some lot today.
So that in itself is it's the project, the WBRT, the show itself is kind of its own economy. And that's where people can participate by going and asking questions, voting on the topics, replying, submitting ideas for the show. And that's where you guys can be a part of an economy.
That's right.
So we were talking the other day after we did the deep dive on the meme asylum white paper, and I was telling you about the little town that they're creating their little, instead of like a wooden nickel, they're using cans, crushed cans, and they've got an imprint on them, and if you spend X number of dollars, you get a crushed can, and they're creating like a little token in their downtown area, and they're spending these dollars, little town dollars, amongst the downtown merchants, and kind of creating a little economy with them themselves. And you can purchase them and use them in the stores to get discounts, I guess, or it's less when you use those tokens or coins than the dollars. So those are some other ideas, I guess. But
yeah, definitely.
But then anybody could create those,
Right. Well, and think of it too, gold, silver, other precious metals that are used for money or a store of value, and have all types of different functions. And that is, in a sense, outside of government as well. And, tokenized assets is another one. So we're evolving, and eventually I think we'll realize that to keep money honest, we might want to keep it out of a politician's hands or control, right? Oh, and before we jump in, I got to show this. This was a gift Christmas past. My Fragile cup from the Christmas story. There's the lamp, and it spins. And
that's cool.
And then on the other side, we got the gentleman,
Very nice.
Yeah. I love this cup.
The old man.
All right. Let's move into the question, shall we? Scroll all the way down. Uh-oh. Well, there you go. There's the first part of it. Self-determination, right?
Mm-hmm.
A Dow versus Congress. Lisa, I guess you might.
Yeah. How might blockchain-based governance models like DAOs replace corrupt legislatures and restore individual sovereignty over economic decisions? So, Greg, you want to start? We'll start at the bottom.
Sure. Well, I think that these systems are uniquely powerful because of irreversibility, ultimately. what we have the ability to impose with blockchains and blockchain-like systems, basically irreversibility engines for all intents and purposes, right? We can coordinate publicly the terms upon which events that matter get recorded. And we can specify an order of irreversibility such that when one person does something, whether it's the right thing or the wrong thing in government, that thing gets recorded permanently and irreversibly. And if they change it to try to fix it, it changes from the mistake. It doesn't erase the mistake. And I think that ultimately that's what, putting them on a blockchain or a blockchain-like system, something that imposes irreversibility under conditions that they can't manipulate, is ultimately how it fixes it.
Great answer. Andrew, what would you like to add to this?
Well, I'd like to say that, once they start to get their hooks into the market and had to force their hand and make an act, they're gonna have to start doubling down and implementing rules that go off of their logic. But in the same time, people will come out with alternatives, and then they'll be busy enforcing the rules on their logic, and then somebody else come out with an alternative, so they had to split their resources, and somebody else come out with another alternative, and they had to split their resources. And eventually, it's like quicksand; they're just out of it. They don't have any more influence, and their whole system capitulates. And that's my perspective.
Interesting. Okay, and Zach?
How could blockchain be a good model for governance? Let's take a dive deep and fork over to another process. What is the most merit-based system that we ever had in this world? Feudalism. We knew where everybody knew their place, but though rare, everybody still had a chance to move up in society. Peasants could become knights and use their time as a squire and their inevitable knighthood to become part of the noble class and earn land. I mean, et cetera, et cetera. You could leave the peasantry as well and go into the monastery. Same with the elites. You could devolve and divorce from the nobility and go to the monastery. You had merchant-based systems. So why not apply the positives of a merit base within a DAO to where you're giving back the power to the people in their own self-determination, rather, because it's a rarity that people move up anyways. So why not live within nature and utilize a DAO system to take back our own power?
Great answer. Great answer. I am. How?
So what you're suggesting? Can I ask a clarifying question?
Yeah.
So what you're suggesting is essentially imposing immutable geometry on the structure of it, such that the navigation of it becomes clear to everybody.
Yes. That is exactly what I'm saying. We need structure, a natural order.
Okay.
With consequences.
Hey, there's Sean.
Mm-hmm.
There's Sean.
Sean.
And we also need
Welcome, Sean.
Welcome.
Fragile.
morning, Sean.
What were you going to say, Zach? We also
I said, and we also need Sean.
need Sean.
Yeah.
I am. We'll let Sean answer after you give your answer. How
Well-
would blockchain governance models work?
Key points here in this question to spur a conversation is individual sovereignty over economic decisions. And, inflation which is a tax from overprinting our money is evil. It's wrong. It's, taxation is theft. And it's just another type of thievery that's going on. And it's allowed by the legislature. They basically pass the buck. They pass the baton of power over to the central bank, Federal Reserve. Even the Treasury Department has done that. And the idea of a DAO, a decentralized autonomous organization, where we have a bigger voice, a stronger voice, our voices are not just heard but acted upon, so that the will of the people can actually surface within the legislature. And I've mentioned this before, but it's essentially called the umbrella promise, and it introduces more of a direct democracy to the populace, to the citizens who are registered to vote. But it doesn't change anything from constitutionally. It doesn't require a new constitution or anything like that. But instead, it's a DAO where everyone's voting on, maybe their economic the budget, or how much money should be spent on education, how much money should be spent on the military, how should we pay down the debt, how do we grow out of this problem to grow out of the debt, et cetera, all these things. And that all has to do with our ability to have a voice in a corrupt legislature. And I think a DAO is just that. And a DAO is using a blockchain. It's registering votes. You can see your vote. You can verify that your vote was counted. You can see everyone's vote. You don't know whose ID, like serial number, is whose when you look at the ledger or the list, but you can certainly see yours, and it's happening in real time. It's quick. There's no mail-in ballots, mail-in whatever down the road to find out if your vote was counted or not. It's all verified. It's on the blockchain. Votes can't be changed, can't be deleted, can't be altered. It's there. We have the technology to do this, to reclaim our economic sovereignty and say, vote the hell out the Federal Reserve, in the Federal Reserve, by the will of the people, the voice of the people. Amen.
Absolutely. Sean, are you comfortable answering this? I know you just joined us.
Sure. I'd like to actually expand on it massively on what William said. So we're a brand new way of country and way of doing things. We're supposed to self-govern, and there's this argument, especially with the Second Amendment and with other things. A lot of people believe we don't really need the Second Amendment anymore, or the Second Amendment only applies to muskets, because technology has went so far that, when the founders founded the country, they didn't think we would have tanks or automatic weapons or, laser guided missiles. And they did. That's the thing. The Second Amendment and the thinking at that time and at the founding of the country and all that, it doesn't pass that test, because the whole idea of the Second Amendment is to be able to fight your own government. So you have to be on par with what they have. However, when it comes to the way that we do things in government, with voting, with the legislature, with all of that, except for a presidency, it's so antiquated. When you step back out of your mind and look at it, you're like, why the hell are we still using a horse and buggy when it comes to the government? We're literally doing the same thing we did in the 1700s.
With the same damn deadlines. Same deadlines.
So it's just a crazy thing to think about. And then the one thing, if you get away from crypto and all that, everyone agrees blockchain, more secure, more transparent. Everyone agrees that it's amazing technology. All of the solid good points, the security, all of that. And then they're like, well, hey, like, why aren't you just, like William said, in the 1700s, in the 1800s, in the 1960s and 70s, a town couldn't have direct access to the government in DC in real time. But all of that stuff is the past. Where we're at now, we literally could, through a DAO, in real time, govern ourselves. We don't need these, however many people up there doing everything behind closed doors.
I'd like to add on to that example, Sean, because there's a really prime one. Like the SEC, the thing that it was invented mostly to solve was the fact that telephone lag after a week, when most like Middle America newspapers printed financial information, which was only in the Sunday edition for most towns, right? When people would call their brokers and they'd make their trades for the week. And if the broker wanted to front run, all they had to do was go do their trades first before they took any phone calls, right? That asynchrony, that weird communications asynchrony, where they were getting the news a week late, and all of the traders had a whole week to plan how they were going to front run their customers. Right? Those rules came into place to stop that behavior, and now we have an adjudicatory system that handles it at the transaction level. Why on earth would we continue to use the massive institutional edifice when we can solve it at a micro level every time somebody does a trade?
Now only Pelosi gets that kind of lead.
Yeah.
Well, also,
Bingo, I would like to
Robinhood and other things. How many people use brokerage houses, or have a broker?
Very few.
It's
relative to the whole population, anyway.
Yeah, relative to the whole. But when you look at just technology and every area of people's lives, things have changed. People don't even go to the fast food anymore. It was fast food. It wasn't a restaurant. It wasn't slow food. It was literally called fast food. They developed a technology where you don't have to go in. You could stay in your car. Oh my God, that's insane.
And the kitchen processes too, right? Like the organization in the kitchen made it possible to serve that many people that fast.
Now they just bring it to your house.
That's amazing.
Now they just bring it to your house. And every other area, but then in government, they're like, hey, man, we need to do this from the 1700s. Same way.
Hear ye, yeah. Even with the hear ye's and the eyes and all that. What were you going to say?
They're still wearing the wigs in Britain. I mean, come on.
It's true, they are.
Well, it's a
they put on a wig before the dude put on a wig before he went in and told Julian Assange he was going to go back to the United States almost.
I would like to just say that I'd like to change my answer a bit, in that Washington, D.C. is unrepairable, unfixable. And if we were allowed to have a referendum on a ballot in all 50 states to expel D.C. from the Union, I am sure that it would pass. But constitutionally, we don't have that option. And I just don't think that we can fix DC. I don't think we can fix DC. It's corruption, and it's the thickness of the swamp, the vastness and depth of the swamp is just undrainable. And it doesn't matter how many people you put at the top levels, and Congress has already been extorted and bribed. You just can't fix it.
I am back to your point, though, about the Second Amendment. I think there is a pretty strong case to make for treating sort of the Second Amendment as a corollary of the Fourth Amendment with respect to information armaments, because the founders had, for instance, there's a thing, if you go check the history books, called the Jefferson cipher wheel. Thomas Jefferson invented a cryptographic tool, right? Like, the founders had a concept for protecting information actively. Mm-hmm. And to me, that falls into kind of a Second Amendment alignment too, because especially when our governments have been using information weapons for so long as such, right? Like, the idea of an information op has been in government since before the 50s. That idea, that whole dirty tricks department idea, has been around since World War II, really, right? Yeah. So why on earth are we still treating privacy tools as if they weren't digital armaments?
Yeah, good point. By the way, Sean was the one that brought up the Second Amendment.
So my answer on this would be that one of the great things about a DAO or blockchain-based governance model is that you can opt in and opt out, unlike the corrupt legislature and our current economic system, that we don't have an option to opt in or opt out. We're just forced to participate, which, anytime you're forced to have your energy or income removed from you, that's a form of slavery. But in a DAO, you could unsign your wallet. You don't have to participate. If you could find a different DAO that you were more aligned with their mission statement or their structure, their economy. So that would be a way that I think it would be that blockchain-based governance models like DAOs could be really successful at restoring individual sovereignty.
Yeah. Yep.
So that would be my answer.
Nice. Next
I'd
one.
like to make one comment.
Yeah,
Sure.
go ahead, Andrew.
William, you got one
Picking
thing
on
wrong.
me. You're picking on me, Andrew.
It's not theft, it's extortion.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Still a crime, but true.
Word salad.
I
Everything
like to
else
think
you
of it as
said,
land piracy.
beautiful.
Personally, I like to think of it as land piracy.
Land.
Yes. Land
Another
pirates.
Yeah.
question from William.
They will come Shanghai your land house, like your land boat, right? Your house, if you don't pay them.
That's true. So we have a beautiful church. We have a another edifice.
Yeah. Separation of church and state and separation of money and the Federal Reserve.
Interesting. Interesting comparison. Do you believe blockchain and cryptocurrencies represent the separation of money and state, similar to the separation of church and state? Interesting question. You want to take this
Sure.
one first?
I wished it represented the separation of money and state. We've always heard about the shot heard round the world was the Declaration of Independence on July 4th, 1776. It was a shot heard around the world. I'm going to argue that the Satoshi white paper and the introduction of blockchain technology that was actually implemented, because that technology kind of precedes Satoshi, but all of that coming together in that white paper was a shot around the world that was heard and recognized by many, and later much more people recognized it, and it didn't require an engineering degree to see it and to see the formula behind it.
Yeah.
That money doesn't have to come from the state. And people think that the Federal Reserve is the state when it's not. And so when you talk to people and say, well, the government has to control money. Well, and in fact, they aren't. The central bank, like in the US, the Federal Reserve is not federal. So the state is not control of our money. And they're using it as a weapon. So I dream of the day when we do have blockchain plugged in as our, as a currency, and that's widely accepted, or multiple blockchains, and more and more that could be gold backed or not gold backed, have those properties or not, or use gold, silver, whatever, which again doesn't have to be part of the state. So I guess when I look at blockchain and I think of currencies, I'm already looking into the future and seeing that separation of money from the state, even though that isn't the fact it is today. But yes, it should be. We have the technology, so let's separate it just like we separated religion from the state.
Interesting. Zach, are you participating? Maybe not. Maybe Zach took a break. We'll jump down to, there's Zach. Zach is back. Are you able to take a question? We've got, do you believe that blockchain and cryptocurrencies represent the separation of money and state, similar to the separation of church and state?
Money should be separated from the state. I can go into detail of why the church and the state need to not be separated, only for the fact that I think the church separating from the state ended up inevitably leading away. I think politics needs to be separated from politics. Politics needs to be separated away. We need to distinguish politics. Politics is evil. And so when we're talking about money and the state, we need to rid the politics. We need to fix the issue in elaborating that economics, monetary policy, this all goes together outside of the state and outside of politics. And so when I talk about separating money from the state, I'm talking about divorcing oneself from the politics. I don't think that's similar to separation of church and state, because I actually think that if you remove the politics and you get back to the grind of things when it comes to what the church teachings and what the church is really supposed to be about, you can actually have a fantastic identity of church and state. The problem is we're all human. So now we have to go over to money and state. So how do we fix the state? First off, we take the politics away. We divorce the money from the state because that has been polluted from the politics. We allow for competing currencies in the apparatus like we have now with gold, silver, blockchain, cryptocurrencies. Give people back the choice of how they earn and how they use their money as a tool. And inevitably, I think we go right back to the church and the state being one, because Romans 13 says the only way that and I paraphrase, the only way for a state or for a government to be legitimate is to hold to the authority of God.
Interesting. Great answer. Okay. Andrew, how do you see?
I use the term kayfabe here, mixing a lie with the truth. You know,
Okay.
at the beginning it was Bitcoin, and it was supposed to be anonymous, and it wound up it wasn't anonymous, and it's semi-public. You know, there's no like direct names, but you can trace people. And then stuff like Monero and stuff and other privacy projects started coming around. And with that implementation and, competition, it is competition for privacy and, market share, that kind of separates the wheat from the chaff and gives more space for a greater potential for the separation of money and state compared to what it was at before. So I think it's possible, but it's something that competition moves.
Okay.
Whoops.
Great answer. Greg, do you believe?
So,
Go ahead.
oh yeah. Let me flip the script first. I think that money and state have always been separate structures, right? They're parts of architecture that don't go together. And money has origins that are independent of the state, and the state has origins that are independent of money. And the two didn't come from the same place either, right? Completely different reasons for their existence. So they're entangled now, and that's the reality. So addressing it from that standpoint, the re-separation of money and state, no. Most blockchain and cryptocurrency projects do not represent that separation. That separation is only represented probably in privacy coins, because privacy is the literal blinding of the state to what goes on. And that's about the only thing that can be considered a true separation, to my mind.
Amen.
Good point. Good point. Sean.
Okay. First off, separation of church and state is like so many other things. Everything about this is narratives. And you can see how narratives have worked throughout history with this. Gay. Just a lifetime or so ago, it meant something completely different. And it has totally changed. There's no way you're going to say that you're gay at Christmas. Just not going to happen. No one uses that word to mean what it originally meant. So the separation of church and state is one of those things. It was enacted to keep the government out of the church. And
A noble cause.
It is totally because of church, because when government gets into the church, that's a ridiculous amount of power, which like I don't want to call it predatory, but predatory religions or religions that want to just get as much power as possible, like Islam. They are.
Well, it's un-American too because it points towards monarchy.
They're what's it called when it's a government religion? I forgot the word. It's like oligarchy, but it's anyway.
Theocracy.
Theocracy, right?
Yeah, theocracy.
Because of what the Church of England did, it's just such a massive amount of power when you put government and religion together. So the separation of church and state is to keep state out of church, not keep church out of the state. Like Zach made the point, you need that moral structure and everything in government, or it all goes to shit.
John, do you think do you think it might be very specifically to keep kings from coming to be, like an individual from using the church to make themselves a king?
You mean like an emperor?
Like, do you think it comes from a very anti-monarchy specific place to separate church and state?
It's stuff like that.
Or it was for the Pope to say, "I'm above the king."
Right.
So the point I'm trying to say is that because of that narrative, but it's been totally changed. Now, anytime anyone brings it up, it's like, hey, you can't have the 10 Commandments in the school, or you can't.
Right.
Why wouldn't you want the 10 Commandments in the school? Why wouldn't you just want the 10 Commandments as laws? Basically don't kill. Which in the military, they pretty much were the UCMJ. They were just like the 10 Commandments.
I can think of only one valid maybe reason. Let me play devil's advocate here and see. Let me try this on for you. Why wouldn't we want the 10 Commandments in schools? So government schools are allegedly for democracy, right? And the commandments are written in the form of given law by a sovereign king. And so if you install the commandments in the public schools, you impart them with a hue of sovereignty that was unwarranted according to the founding principles. That might be the argument. That's the only argument I can make.
The argument I have is that when little Johnny prays to God one day, little Mohammed gets to come lead the prayer the next day, and not everybody's going to
work
with that. And then the next day, little so and so was going to pray to Satan over the microphone the next day. So that's the argument.
Well, that invites
you're all wrong. No, because you're all wrong.
Morality, though.
No, because you're all wrong. Number one,
can I add that?
Number one,
I'm going to add something.
Let Sean finish.
Before all of those religions that you've mentioned happened, there was the 10 Commandments. So that predates all of those religions. So boom, it doesn't. Well,
I mean, it goes back to Mesopotamian sovereignty, nonetheless. So it's still
the 10 Commandments.
It's still a plea to authority.
Could have that without having the
predates Satanism.
What?
The 10 Commandments.
Yeah.
Well,
just not.
It might even be plausible to say that the two co-evolved, right? Like Satanism was really just a form of epithet that you throw at like other forms of weird Mesopotamian demon god worship.
Then you have to say, we're a Christian nation. We're not a Christian nation. That's all. That's politics. Now you're bringing politics into the church. So because of the separation of church and state, you can't have that argument.
Yeah. So I will say to add on to that, and then I mean, I wouldn't mind little Muhammad if he wants to lead a prayer, because little Muhammad, being the child that he is and adamantly believing that he is praying and worshiping to the one true creator God, I mean, why not? Mm-hmm. Why not allow him to pray? What I don't want is little Muhammad's parents, who are adamantly astute to the theological Satanism that Islam actually is in reality, to impose their own statist Islamic core of theology into the political structures of the day. But if little Muhammad wants to pray to Allah, then who am I to judge? Allah is, in his judgment, God. So even if theologically it's not, it's Satan.
Wow.
That's all.
Note to self: don't add church and state in a question on the blockchain.
I still haven't answered the question yet.
Oh, okay.
Everyone's
get to your
throwing in
answer.
their 2 cents. I have a lot of 2 cents, but I haven't answered the question.
Okay.
So,
Go ahead, Sean.
because of the separation of church and state, all of that has changed because of narratives. Now, the state has not had control of money until they figured out how to do it recently. There was always a separation because money was a real thing. Only to recently has it just been a paper, a fake thing. I mean, imagine if Rome tried to say, "Hey, we're going to make a money sand. Just give people bags of sand." It wouldn't have worked. It'd be like, "This is worthless sand." But literally, we're like, "This is worthless paper." You know, when Venezuela happened, it was so mind-boggling to me that a roll of toilet paper was worth way more than wiping your butt with the money. I mean, literally, like you could get
Yeah.
100,000, dollar bills, and it would last longer than the roll of toilet paper, and the toilet paper was worth more. So that to me was like a huge light bulb moment of that
Well,
money
and
is real.
technically, like, isn't the money linen so you could wash it? So it's technically like
Not their
reusable
money.
paper.
It's not their money. But
Note
it's
to self: money laundering is actually washing the money.
washing the poop off the money.
Well, you got to be careful though, because there's a lot of cocaine on actual physical dollars.
That's why I like blockchain.
Yes.
But so the separation of money and state has always been there until recently, and maybe it's like William said. I think it's time. Like I'm so fed up with everything. I think a lot of people, I would say Americans, but I think it's just people now, are just fed up with the way things are, wherever the hell they are, wherever the hell they're seeing on television. That it's time for something. Imagine if the government took over the central bank, the Federal Reserve, just went in there, arrested people for whatever financial crimes they've done. I'm sure there's stuff on the books that they could do it. And
That's
took
not going to
possession.
happen. Never.
They kind of already are the Federal Reserve, though.
Yeah, but imagine if that did, and imagine if the government actually took over money, the U.S. government.
They
They
did
said-
take over. They put them in the
They
treasury.
are, though.
They
right?
said, here's dollars. They're backed by our treasury, which we've been amassing all this silver and whatever. All the stuff that the Middle Eastern countries did that we went and blew up, all the stuff they tried to do, we'll do it. And here, our dollars are now backed by this. This is the world reserve currency. You will use it, and it's backed by real assets.
What about the fact that the U.S. dollar and moreover U.S. Treasury bonds are the requirement that you must meet? You must stuff your treasury with T-bills if you wish to be a U.S. Approved stablecoin. You must stuff your treasury with T-bills.
You have to have
It's freaking
T-bills.
crazy.
You have to have the government bonds if you want to do stable coins. So it's just another way to spread the dollar around the world and inflate it. It's a whole new way of QE, quantitative easing.
Mm-hmm.
It's horrendous. I think, Lisa, what's your answer?
Oh man, we've run all the way around the bend on this. I think you have to bring in the conversation of the military backing the money in the U.S. and forcing people to use it. So getting that kind of separation in there involved. So I don't know where that kind of lands with blockchain. Maybe that's the way for the pacifist to opt out of those kind of movements,
I misunderstood you, Lisa, I think. Are you suggesting that the military should force us to use government money?
That's my understanding, is that they force a lot of the world to use it.
Yes, I would say we are a proof of weapons, as Simon Dixon says, for our money. Our money isn't a proof of work, it's a proof of weapons.
Yeah.
We will bomb you if you don't do this. We will bomb you if you don't support our dollar. We will send the CIA, wolves through your back door.
That's my understanding.
And do whatever ugly things to your family if you don't support the dollar. And,
Or how about we will craft trade and environmental policy in such a way that if you do things only according to our plan, you can get that World Bank loan your country needs.
yeah.
Well, yeah.
We are a proof of weapons country. That's what we are. That's what our money
I don't know.
is.
I think our money is a separate weapon. I don't think our money is of weapons. I think it is.
Oh,
weapons.
dang. Oh,
I don't know. What?
Kind of goes hand in
industrial
hand.
complex.
Okay, he's back.
I don't know.
It would be circular if the weapon was backed by weapons. To me,
Well,
I think it's a weapon in and of itself.
Well, no matter what, however you want to, we can argue that semantics all you want. Either way,
I don't
it's
think that's
4
semantics.
letters.
I think
It's
that's the
fucking
physics
evil.
of money.
It's evil.
I'm thinking the old Mac is a weapon at this point.
All right.
Lisa, do we move on?
Scroll on. Let's find some
Again.
happiness.
Attention shoppers, new prices. All prices below are now 10x. At your catch rate.
Oh yes, inflation that we're going through right now.
But gas is going down, everybody, so it's okay.
Gas is down. Eggs are down. Eggs are only $4.
Beef is up significantly.
Beef is
Oh, $4.
But we're making America great again.
up. Yes, we
Where
are.
is eggs? Where are eggs $4?
Oh, everywhere.
Is
My
it?
eggs
I
are
must be
super
lucky
cheap.
then.
Yeah, like every
Yeah.
farm, even the farm eggs are $4 around here.
Actually,
they're pretty low
free
around
on
here,
Oh
too.
yeah, if I go get some farm eggs, it's
They
gonna
got
be
chickens.
About
They
$4 or
just poop them
$5.
out. If it don't cost
Yeah,
them,
ours are
I'm
free.
willing.
Chickens do produce a lot of eggs.
Yeah.
So can cryptocurrencies or blockchain-based assets help protect against inflation and economic instability? Who would like to start this one? Let's start in the middle. Andrew, I'm gonna
It's like
catch you off guard.
it's like a pressure valve. You know, the more unstable the traditional economy becomes, the more it pushes everybody off to the alternative economies.
Bingo. Oof.
Great answer.
Out of the park.
Yeah, I caught him off guard, and that's a great answer. Zach, your counterpart. Do you want to take this one?
I'm gonna piggyback off of Andrew and say exactly just that. I mean, the only stability is the ability to fork, and the only way to fork is to go into a parallel system. So the fact is when you have different cryptocurrencies and blockchain networks that you can attach yourself into and choose your winner compared to what you perceive as a loser is how a market works. So competition, supply and demand.
Free markets. That's great. I am.
Economic stability. Well, people used to, back in the day, gosh, I sound like a boomer. Back in the day, Bitcoin, you could use Bitcoin and spend it on Microsoft products. Back in the day, not too long ago, but it's true. Then, government got involved and didn't want that to happen. And, it got moved over to a store of value, which means it ultimately means that scarcity should bring about, price increases. And that scarcity is the price increase, like Andrew talked about, that pressure valve. So when you see that your dollar is losing value, the price of beef, the price of whatever at the store, what you need is, it's requiring more dollars, and you need economic stability in your life, then, people gravitate and move towards precious metals. Yeah. And precious metals could also be tokenized assets on a blockchain and other cryptocurrencies, example, Bitcoin and others, but that they had, the point here is that they have a fixed supply, or they have a very limited growth in their supply matrix. And so that creates scarcity, creating upward price movement, which thus creates not instability, but stability. And so it competes against your fiat currencies of the world, or your central banks, and the evils of government.
Absolutely. Greg.
You know, there was a time when I would have answered this question way differently, but now I'm going to say that the answer is probably no, they cannot. And this is because all current systems, as I understand it, typically they have a global monotonic linear ledger, right? That means you get a block every n number of seconds. That block contains a list that appends to another list. And ultimately that's what you get with any typical blockchain, right? Like you're adding a chain, you're adding another block to the chain. It's a linear, it's one line, right? Real economic activity happens in massive parallel and unrelated.
Bingo.
Right? So one chain cannot create stability. The more you linearize it, it's like stacking a Jenga tower. You can only go so high before it collapses. By linearizing it, you're making it less stable and setting it up for avalanche conditions that are more dramatic. So really, no, it can make the economy not rely on any kind of fiat to be reversible. That's what blockchain can do. What it cannot do is make our economy more stable.
I'm going to push back on you that, Greg. You are correct in singularity in that if it's only a few blockchains and say the TPS transactions per second.
You're right. Massive parallelism fixes this.
But multiple, either very different formations of blockchain, or there's nothing wrong with having multiple blockchains and multiple forms of currency.
No, it's the only way it works, actually.
That's what you're saying. And I might transact over here at this storekeeper with Litecoin, and I might come over here with Digibyte. I might come over here with Bitcoin Cash. This person might want to pay the fees and stick with Bitcoin, and I agree to that. Versus all of us saying the fiat is a piece of shit because it's going down in value.
And here's the big but of all this. Is that in the interstice between chains is where governance has found its way to weasel in with the linearization of these systems. Right? All of those leverage points exist because one chain can't bear all the load.
Correct.
If we could find a structure that could holistically handle all of that in parallel,
interoperability. I can't say
then we could actually solve the problem we're trying to solve here and create economic stability using a blockchain.
Bridges between blockchains is your answer.
But those bridges can't be constructed without creating leverage points, I guess.
I have a question.
Economic volatility is exactly how the economy is going to work, no matter what. Because
but if we want stability against what the kind of instability we're facing, inflation and the kind of economic instability created by governments, then the only answer is a system that can't be monkeyed with. And the problem with massive parallelization through layer 2 and up, right, is really that the space between layer 1 and 2 allows for a lot of monkeying.
That's all I ask for, man, is natural boom bust cycles, because you're always going to have the boom, you're going to have the bust, and then you're going to have the boom again. Right. Not this bullshit long scale boom and then the inevitable natural bust because we're inflating the money supply.
Andrew,
to add to Greg's point, and Greg, forgive me if I'm getting it wrong, but you could use the metaphor, the analogy of precious metals. It's not a cost-effective operation to put, whatever, how many tons of gold on an airplane and fly it to another country to make a payment. Right. It doesn't scale. It doesn't work. Just like too many people on the same blockchain will not work. Right. And so, you're right. It's really a question of scaling, interoperability. I can't say it. Communications between blockchains, diversification of blockchains, who will accept different ones, congestion on a blockchain. All of these things point to there is a solution, and we're early in this. We're 15, 16 years into this now. And that's early in geological time.
Andrew, did you get your question covered?
I'll ask that. Sean hasn't went yet, so. I'll let
Okay.
him go first.
Okay, Sean, what are your thoughts on this?
I think it's kind of a trick question, because I think any kind of real assets would help protect against inflation and economic instability. I mean, everyone's talking about inflation. There's tons of people. You can go on YouTube and look it up. They retired, or they inherited, or they just bought, 20, 100 acres up in the mountains, and they just pan for gold, or, dig up different gems and sell it online. Those people are super rich. So if your money that you make every month comes from paying in the river, and you melt your gold down, you have make so much, a month. Beef right now, you used to buy a cow, cost you an ounce of gold, half an ounce of gold. Now your half an ounce of gold, you're getting two cows when you go down to the butcher. Two cows for the same money. You're not experiencing anything because your money is gold. The money that you bring in is gold, and it's went up so much, so you don't even know what these people are doing.
Right. Sean, you're absolutely right about that.
So real assets. So if you had a basket, or if your money was backed by different assets, then you just increase whatever assets are going up, and you can basically the basket theory of like stable coins. It would definitely protect against economic instability, i.e., inflation.
Right. And that's like at a personal level, right? At an individual level, is how you're framing it. If you take it from the frame of, can cryptocurrencies or blockchain-based assets help protect against inflation by diffusing the mechanism? The answer is no. If the question is, can having a basket of the assets protect you from inflation? The answer is yes.
Having cryptocurrencies in the basket is could help, but I don't think it's like you say. I would have said before, like you. Before, I would have said a different answer. Now I think it can play a part, but I don't think you can do it on its own. But I think the assets on blockchain for the transparency, of all the assets in the basket, would be better.
So the tokenization of the assets for transparency is the big win.
Yep.
That's
now falls into the same class of things as like stock in Tesla, or like other things that have asymptotic value in modern times.
Mm-hmm.
Andrew, that's an interesting point. Me and Lisa talked about. I don't think we talked about it on the show. We talked about it before, but we may have. But like Japan's having a lot of problems, but their government did buy a lot of stock. Their money was backed by a lot of their stock market.
And a lot of our treasuries. Japan's market is highly tied to the U.S. Yeah.
Though the churn on those is nightly, right? Because that's a lot of open market ops. So it's not that they hold a lot, it's that they churn a lot.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
They hold a lot at any given point, but they're not holding the same ones at any given point.
Wow. Well, I'm sure we'll get into all that with current events. We've got a lot of that. Andrew, did you want to touch on anything else before?
I just wanted to respond to Greg earlier. We was talking about how governments can fall into the cracks and everything, and this isn't really a conspiracy. It's just an exercise in theoreticals. You remember how when Ethereum forked between Ethereum and Ethereum Clash? We talked about this last week. How, if you look back in history, you see that there's been some conversation about them playing off of each other and kind of integrating and operating off of one another as like independent parties. Think about the Bitcoin Cash ABC fork that created eCash. ABC, they had said that Coined on Dance, it's not their official platform or anything. It's just projects and stuff like that for the Bitcoin community. That ABC was in charge of creating fractional reserve Satoshis. With that fork between ABC and Bitcoin Cash node, wouldn't that potentially throw the opportunity for them to create the currencies available for fractional reserve Satoshis, and then operate in competition or in opposing energies against Bitcoin Cash, ABC, and
Hypothetically, yeah, I don't see why not.
It goes back to adoption of the blockchain, because all of that is still written to a blockchain. So it really goes back to the adoption of the blockchain, and we have faith in our dollar. It's faith in this.
It's
whatever on a different blockchain.
It's not even necessarily blockchain per se. It's any irreversible, globally shared data graph, right? Like when you're talking about anything like you have to include stuff like Avalanche, how they work, for example. It's a way different mechanism, but it still achieves like irreversibility at scale.
Yeah. And I just thought, that would be an interesting, long-term storyline about how that all kind of worked out if something like that was to come into play.
Yeah. It's an interesting question, isn't it?
There's a comment I'd like to bring up, if you don't mind, Lisa.
Sure.
I can't pronounce the name. Zoka Hanka Halls.
This is also a fair framing.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with inflation or economic stability. Crypto or blockchain is a surveillance, a complete centralized collecting data. Yeah, when the blocks are transparent and everyone can see the transactions, and you can, identify who's who on the blockchain, then yes, it is a data collection site.
Minor quibble is it does have to do with inflation and economic stability and surveillance and centralizing and collecting data. I would say it's all of the above, as opposed to it's not to do with economics.
Agreed. I couldn't agree more with you on that one, Greg. And that is why there are privacy blockchains like Monero and Zcash, Zano, R, and so many more, out there that are just that. They don't want surveillance. They regard privacy as their number one priority, and those blocks are not transparent.
And that's the beauty of blockchain, right? No matter how far down the rabbit hole we go through the centralized censorship structures of a grand old surveillance state and a technocratic dystopia, the more that we can counter at, and that's why you have private coins.
Here's a fun and hard to shake like visualization, Zach. Right, like on this point, think about it like this: when you go to the TSA to go get on an airplane, right? Everybody gets in one global line, and you take turns going through, I don't know, the mining process of going through the airport security, right? And out comes the other side, a block containing you and your family, right? In the ledger. You've gone through security. You've been processed by a blockchain, right? It's identity. We've rebuilt the TSA to a certain degree with the head revision. Like the head block is always going to be whoever just made it through the line.
So we can rebuild the TSA so they don't have to grab my junk.
Well, or we could build an irreversible data graph that allows for parallel unrelated things to be passed at the same time.
Yeah.
It basically solve the whole problem. But
so basically what you're comparing it and contrasting it to the pre-check line. Then like blockchain can effectively allow us to go down a pre-check so we don't have to deal with the bullshit.
More like we can, because we're using computers, have a billion parallel checkpoints that are running all at once that don't have to coordinate, that just have to recognize causal order, right? They have to recognize that parents can't be siblings, and that a child cannot be its own parent, and that's all.
See, this is why I take trains and buses or drive.
All right, let's go back to our religion. No, Church and State.
There we go.
Are we
Is that
done
all
with
of our
this one?
questions? Do we have one
No,
more?
I think we have one more.
Okay.
We ready?
Market-based versus planned.
Market-based versus planned economy. Here we go. Could widespread adoption of blockchain lead to a voluntary market-based economy free from state intervention? And what role does distrust in central banks play in accelerating this shift? You want to?
Well, the central banks are going to fight it. And
Yeah.
what I'm trying to describe in this question here is a free market economy that is parallel to the one that we normally operate in. And that it might create widespread adoption. You know, if the dollar continues to deflate, which is the plan from the Mar-a-Lago Accords, is to get the dollar way down to pay off the debt. Which is going to create a lot of pain and suffering, then, you know, that is going to be the pressure valve, again, to coin what Andrew said, for people to move to other, you know, opportunities, other inventions, maybe a blockchain for transacting in with. And that will shift over there. And then the central bank's going to step in and say, no, you got to use our fiat or you're going to be thrown in jail or something to that effect. And then
pretty much what they just did.
Right? Then parallel systems are going to become those that are more underground. And those parallel systems will grow because they're going to be a better option. They're going to be a safer option. They're going to be a private option. They're not going to have Big Brother looking over your shoulder. And just like it happened in Romania, pretty soon the underground or the secondary economy is going to outperform the first economy, which is the government, state, central bank, all-inclusive, all-controlling, seeing eye economy that is going to essentially, you know what, it's going to become a revolutionary thing. Not a revolutionary in the sense of something new, but part of the revolution. I'm going to be a patriot. I'm going to join the revolution, and I'm going to transact not in fiat, where they control us and want us to, you know, do X, Y, and Z and go against my moral judgment, but I'm going to go ahead and go over here and do this, that, and the other thing. That's where it's going to come down to, and it's going to become a political choice. It'll probably become a moral choice. You know, I don't want my dollars going to war. I don't want my dollars subverting the will of the public because we want to see the Epstein files. I don't want my dollars to be deflated and taxed, you know, with this unseen, extortion. And I think that's what's going to come.
Zach, let us know what you think about this.
Define a market-based free economy, though.
Do we really want?
But do we really want I mean, locally, yes, we want a free exchange locally, but do we really want a convergence of chaos within a globalized market, or do we want to devolve away from globalized markets, just get away from trade relations all across the world in general, and just maintain a locale? That's
I want American first, but my American first is my community, and fuck everything else.
Yeah, I think the things that we could build here could dominate the world if we had a chance to ship them abroad, right? Like I think American dominance is McDonald's in downtown freaking wherever, right?
Proof of weapons.
You
get everybody fat. Actually, McDonald's is healthier everywhere
no,
else.
Exactly. Well, and not just that, but like if you think about places where caloric intake is not as readily accessible as it is here, right? Like one of the world's most nutritious foods, I shit you not, is the $1 McDouble, or at least it was when it was still $1. If it's still the cheapest sandwich on the menu, it's still probably the most nutritious food for your dollar you can get on the face of the planet.
Yeah.
Except for in America.
Well, no, the same one they serve here. I'm not because places who aren't us don't need like heart medicine. They need raw calories, right?
Well, yeah, that's actually true.
Well,
a lot of
we really
do.
can't speak to like William said. We're freaks. America is a freak. And if you ever
We
see,
have to worry about overfeeding ourselves.
like we just the difference in our topography, in it, like we can grow pineapples and oranges, and we can grow chestnuts and whatever up north. It's
Cranberries.
most
Yeah.
most countries they don't have that. They can't do that.
Yeah.
So they
Yeah.
need global trade. Like we literally can make anything
Right.
and everything because of the size of us, the
Right.
diversity of our country.
The question is really more right, Sean. If we whether or not we want the world to devolve into barbarism is the question of trade.
Yeah. And that's where my question on this, and then I'll take it to Andrew so he can answer. But the question is like, we don't want the state to intervene, but at the same time, on a larger scale, we do need some form of checks and balances. Otherwise, there's a likelihood that perhaps a globalized free trade apparatus and chaos could lead into that barbarism, because people want, and they're going to want more. And then, I mean, because inevitably trade leads to war.
It
So,
actually doesn't, though.
I mean,
It's actually the contraction of trade that typically leads to war.
Yes.
It's because it's the reason. Let me rephrase that. It leads to war because you have various cultures that differ between each other.
So you're talking about the ultimate contraction of free trade leads to war.
Yeah.
That's probably a fair point, right? Like, it does ultimately, the way that we've run it so far, like
So
there's probably an ordered way to do it that doesn't involve, like micromanaging the shit out of it like we do now. Right? Because the problem with tariffs in large part is the fact that it goes good by good.
So blockchain could effectively be that that check and balance then.
That's a different question.
Andrew, what do you think?
Well, that's kind of this kind of feeds into my answer. We don't really live in anything other than an ordered society, and the degree of the ordered society is different from country to country, because mostly we all speak the same language, and that's the U.S. dollar. You know, it's the dominant currency. There's BRICS is trying to come out as an alternative, and they've been trying to do that for several decades. It's not been successful. There's been fighting between the countries that are involved in BRICS, specifically, for example, India and China, who hate each other and they're constantly at war on their own border. But that doesn't mean that there isn't been conversation and discussion about this. I can refer to Stefan Molyneux, who spoke about this, at length, ad nauseum. His point is there's not a free market in money, which what we're constantly talking about every Thursday here is an attempt to push forward the agenda of a free market in money. Then there's not a free market. And as a matter of fact, that is how we get rid of an order society. Is we all agree that power needs to be decentralized and it needs to be across the board. It doesn't matter what your political views are, your economic views. There has to be voluntary association between people, and they have to go where they're treated, where they feel like they're at home. And that's the whole point of the issue.
Absolutely.
Would agree.
Great answer. Greg, did you have more to add?
Yeah, I'll actually answer I can actually answer the question.
But did you have a separate, full-on answer?
Yeah. So the answer is no, it can't, right? Well, widespread adoption of blockchain can, in fact, lead to economic activity. Free economic activity requires something more, right? We have to figure out a way to use the technology in such a way that we expand our freedom of action, right? Our ability to choose from possible futures needs to get broader. And if we don't implement it in that way, then we're building a narrowing device, right? We're building a thing that eliminates possible futures. And we have to be careful at every step to always be trying to make the future wider than it is. So that would be my
Okay.
answer.
Sean, what would you like to add to
kind of agree with Greg there. I don't think so. I think that, and I've changed my mind. I'm a real big believer in force doctrine now. Andrew Wilson really changed the way I look at things. Everything comes down to just force. And we used to know that. That's why, men ruled the world. That's just the way it is. But we've become, especially in America, so soft. And you could say it's a good thing or you could say it's a bad thing. That's a different argument. And I think we really saw that with the government shutdown.
Yeah.
And to be a true market-based economy, you can't be soft. You have to be hard.
Yeah.
You have to say, oh, those kids are starving in Buffalo. Those kids are starving in Sarasota. And you have to say, that's the way it is, man. They needed to plan better. They needed to have more kids. They needed to have a bigger family. They needed to be nicer to people, whatever.
Certainly that has to be the answer from government. The answer,
the answer for all of us. And with this last government shutdown.
Well, I think the answer from
hold on. With this last government shutdown, the two most important things were the people that have the guns, paying the military, and paying SNAP.
Yep.
And WIC. Those were the most important things during the government. Nothing else.
No.
That was the issue, because we have to be, because that we couldn't handle little Johnny not having SNAP, and we were scared and couldn't handle the military not getting paid. That really showed. I think we should show everybody what's important to us.
Outstanding observation, Sean.
Yeah. So, Sean, a quick question. So you watched Andrew Wilson annihilate Dave Smith as well?
I watch Andrew Wilson anytime I can. He just,
dude, I'm gonna go ahead and bet.
I actually, he brings up a lot of good points. Yeah. Wilson does.
So I have an answer to this.
Yes, Lisa.
I believe that this is a yes, because that's what the distrust is, what Reggie's patents solve is, it creates the peer-to-peer transaction. And that's what we need to have and that creates the free market. And that's what levels the playing field. Because if I'm in a desert and I say, I need IAM's bottle of water, then we decide what the market is. And it may be that I'm willing to pay $1 million for that bottle of water. And that's when we get rid of, and there's a huge distrust in central banks, and then it doesn't jump in and print $1 million while we're all sleeping. Like that's where we're all getting, rugged every night is the central bank. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's where, and I think that's why there was such a push to full innovation in blockchain, whether it was with, what Dragon Chain faced, what Reggie faced with Veritasium, and a lot of others, because they were afraid of what would happen if we started transacting in a free market and peer-to-peer without the intermediaries of the central banks.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and what's crazy is there's absolutely no reason to fear, right? Because of what we actually see happening in the real world every time a centralized system goes out of whack, right? There's this awesome parallel system for food distribution that happened before SNAP. It was called church pantries, right?
Right. The community comes in, and when there's a crisis, that's some of the most beautiful things happen when the community comes in.
So here's an interesting fact. Did you guys know that during the government shutdown, food donations increased so much that they are still increased, and that there's this, I found an article from a ABC News thing, right? So as far as you can throw, but nonetheless, this sort of soft serve piece says this food org in New York has something to the tune of 1 million pounds more food on hand than they did last November after the staff shutdown. Right? Nice. So do we really need SNAP?
No, time out. Do we really need government? Do we really need a federal government? That's the question.
And that goes to Sean's point, actually, on we need to be harder. Because honestly, that's what the plant society creates, is a soft people. and the more
And
soft
paying-
you become,
yeah.
Right, but
And
doing
paying SNAP
able to
and
keep
paying the
control.
military, was that a payoff to keep the peace? Was that a payoff to keep them in power, keep the corruption and in DC in office?
Mhm.
You know, I would
my point
I want to
was
bring up what Lisa just said because it was really just brilliant.
Yeah.
It just to explain inflation and central banking and the evils of it, because that was extreme, but it was perfect. Imagine someone being in the desert and wanting that bottle of water, and it's $1 million, and the central bank just prints up $1 million and pays for that bottle of water. And like one of you said, while you're sleeping. So when you wake up, all of a sudden you go to buy a bottle of water, it's $1 million. The price has changed overnight because of that. And that's exactly what happens, just on a inflated scale. That was,
yeah, it's a really good example of the micro effect.
Yeah.
Right?
Well done.
That was actually now that you mention it, Sean, that was seriously like a Ludwig von Mises level thought experiment.
it was like
pretty cool.
so just perfect and quick. It's like boom, that's it. Whoa.
But listen, fellas, the world runs on the most perfect
Duncan.
magic money trees, and Duncan. It runs on magic money Dunkins.
Dunkin' Donuts.
The
Dude,
world runs on Duncan.
the world could viably run on bottle caps, as Fallout
Yeah.
has proven.
I would love that, actually. I had a shit ton of bottle caps when I played through Fallout 3. I don't even know, you can't really use them, but my first playthrough on Fallout 3, or my only playthrough, I ended up getting like fucking like 25,000 bottle caps. Like, is this even possible?
Yeah. I have a theory why gaming hasn't included blockchain and being able to be exchange all of that stuff within different games and this kind of thing, is because it's part of the bread and circus, and they don't want to wake up the youth to the ideas of inflation and central banking and alternative currencies. So the gaming
or
companies
ownership,
don't want the
for that
wrath
matter.
of the government coming down on them.
Yeah, that was one of the
Fallout
hardest things for me to
got it.
accept, and to which I'll use the word accept, because there's a lot of things that happen there that I accepted, ghouls and other things, but the use of bottle caps I thought was just so stupid when I started playing. I'm like, why that wouldn't happen? No, it wouldn't with bottle.
Right, they even had old world money lying around that was useless.
Yeah, it was what cloth, and then but then there's a quest where you try to find an old bottle cap maker. So I think you can only get so much. But I really that was one of the biggest things I had a problem with, and that's conditioning, man. That's just conditioning. Like bottle caps, no way. That wouldn't happen.
Well, I mean, some of the earliest, though. Well, if you think about society devolving, right? Some of the earliest forms of money were like shells, right?
Yeah.
How are bottle caps all that terribly different?
Literally, sand dollars were dollars.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't even know.
They would have naturally limited supply because they stopped making Nuka-Cola after the bombs fell.
Current events.
I think
we
as
have
far
so much. Where do we
current
want
events, the biggest one was didn't Trump have a news conference or whatever Oval Office speech last night?
Yes, with the big announcement.
His big announcement.
It was very big.
It was
very
he's
big.
Paying the military $1,776 bonus by the end of the year. That was
Christmas.
Do we have a clip for
we love our troops
flying off?
We're all getting a 1776.
No, just the military.
Yeah, just the military. Yeah. This is why we love our troops. I'm giving them 1776.
No, he's not. We all are.
Dude,
And
cue the
then-
money printer go burr graphic.
And then after he got off the stage, Maduro announced that he was sending his Navy to break through any of the U.S.
Let's see how that works
lines
out.
or board. Yeah. And Brazil also joined them in Venezuela to support them to break through any of the U.S. forces to get their tankers through.
Do you guys remember that
Wow.
film where the tanker got hijacked and then the guy got sniped in a tugboat basically at the very end?
Yeah, it's a true
I don't
story.
envy the people trying to break that blockade. I feel sorry for them, honestly.
Yeah, you don't mess with our boats.
Is it-
Proof
Don't
of
mess
war.
with the United States Navy. The rest of our military is dog trash, realistically, but the United States Navy, bread and butter.
Dude, you're getting your boat taken over by Marines, and you'll be lucky if you don't get sniped. Honestly, they shouldn't do that.
So Trump didn't order the war, but apparently Maduro.
Yeah, it's
Also,
lot of
you know,
I don't buy that.
we did start
Well,
commandeering
you know,
tankers
putting
off the
down
coast,
was
right?
pretty-
A lot of people.
we
A
spent
lot of
the-
people. Oh, I said a lot of people don't realize the Marines are part of the Navy.
Well,
Oh
we
yeah, no.
sent
Well,
them
they're
there.
the literally like the
girls,
people.
yeah.
By
We
so many
sent them
military
there.
people, Zach,
Like,
especially Marines. Now you've went
dude, the
over
way
it.
to think about Marines in the Navy is the way that you have to think about pirates in privateer times, right? Like, who's swinging across on the ropes? Who's swimming up under your boat to climb aboard it and take it over? Yeah, that's the Marines. That was their job when they first created them. They're like the professional pirates.
There's a
Of the U- of the
video
US
where
Navy.
a top general is telling the Marines the next fight
My
is
favorite
coming,
military branch because of that.
and he warns adversaries the Marines will, quote, whip your ass.
I mean, they
will
insane.
though.
They're pretty insane.
It's,
They will.
I just don't want it. I don't want
it either.
It's not.
No, it's
Yeah, but it was
It's
inevitable.
It's wrong on all the levels. There you go.
Yeah.
Now
It's
I
wrong
want
on
to
all
go into a
levels, even though it's going to
theocracy
work.
that believes in peace.
Yeah, but we brought this up yesterday on the Legacy, right? Week of the Legacy. Greg brought this up. It's better than meddling in the Middle East. So as much as we don't want war, the fact is it's the United States taking up the Monroe Doctrine to its fullest T and basically saying, get out of here, China and Russia.
It will neutralize
What
any
the
future
Monroe
possible
Doctrine
threat
did to the
based
Native
on
Americans.
Cuba. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
it will neutralize any possible future threat based out of Cuba.
True.
You know,
because
I
they
brought
get
this
the
up with
oil from
Lisa
Venezuela.
yesterday that it was
It does feel like
Pedro,
defending our shores a little bit more. Honestly.
that I feel because the Ukraine war, it's went on so long, and I watched a lot of interviews just like on the street from their news, and the shift in the regular population, the regular guy on the street, they were like, oh, I thought the U.S. was our friend, and now they're Russia's friend. They don't care about us. It's like just flip.
What?
Yeah, it's just a complete
Doesn't make
flip.
any
And they're
sense.
like, oh, yeah,
We're not Russia's friend just because
we're
we're
totally
out there
Russia's friend because
anymore.
we're trying to get the peace. But it's went on for so long, and their people are dying, and I'm paying for that. I'm losing money, and then people are dying for it. It's like the worst thing I could pay for.
Yep.
You know, it's
Or
like I just don't want to.
People need to
have your
recognize
war.
the difference between enemy and adversary.
You can have your war. I just don't want to pay and be connected to your people dying. That's all. You know, it's just I feel bad. And I think it's all they're doing is, and they're like, no, we want to keep fighting. It's like, that's fine. I don't want to be involved. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
'Cause it's
So
just
our
going to go
religion
on
is
longer and
coming
longer.
back in.
Well, here's the other question though, because there may be one other saving grace behind the idea of it, and this is worth bringing up, right? What if we look at what Venezuela was doing to house and stage mass migration into the United States from the southern border?
Well,
We
and don't forget
invited it.
Smart Matic.
Biden sent an adversary. He
Exactly.
sent people down there and said, open up your jails and bring them up to America.
Exactly, right?
Create
Right.
terrorism here. Yeah, I mean,
Do you think a post-invasion puppet state is going to comply with such behavior?
they're at the whim of whoever we elect, supposedly, and I don't even
Right.
think it's Trump's decision. I think
No,
he has the answer
I'm
to
not.
the-
I'm not
to,
defending
you know,
it. I'm just
Intel
posing an
superstar.
interesting question.
Oh, I agree. I'm sorry to get elevated on it. It's just because it's just more examples and proof of the evils of government, of central planners, of central government, of central banking. Central banking is paying for all this, but it's really on our backs through through taxation,
no,
through
it's-
inflation. You know,
Where our money's going.
I'm just sick of it. I'm tired of it. And they're not working on our best behalf. They're not working on our best interest. Sending warships to Venezuela is not on our best behalf.
Yeah.
If it's
Looting,
a drug
looting
issue,
international shipping lanes is probably
if
not in
it's
our
a
best
drug
interest.
problem, then we already know that the war on drugs isn't working. That's not going to work either. Now we
Yeah.
got Brazil.
If it's a drug
upset with
problem, then why are Marines commandeering oil tankers?
Right. Well, and
Exactly.
speaking of other drug problems, the CDC is being sued for operating illegal and unconstitutional 72 dose childhood hypervaccination program, never tested, never filed legally required safety reports. So they're being sued. That's something positive. Speaking
Sorry,
of,
Lisa, it's not positive because you know what? A lawsuit isn't going to do anything. People
You don't
aren't going to be held accountable. People are not going to go to jail. People are not going to go to prison. The people who are going to go to prison are Roman Storm and all of
Amen,
those who
brother.
wrote
The question is,
code.
are they going to stop doing the childhood vaccine program?
Yeah, will they stop it?
Absolutely.
I'm so jaded.
Nobody. Yeah, you're not. You're just your eyes are
Okay.
open.
Yeah.
Shaka, his eyes are open.
There's a lot of places to be optimistic about life, but looking at government is not one of them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
looking towards the east.
Well, I mean,
It's
we
like,
have
like
more
you
people.
said, if nobody goes to jail, nothing ever changes. So
Bingo.
there's
We have-
lawsuits. That's the thing. There's money paid. If there's lawsuits and there's money paid, we've just sat here for an hour talking about how money's not real, and it's just printed, and then it's like, oh, someone's gonna have to pay money. Nothing changes if people don't go to
Well,
jail. You start putting some bankers for months. If you put a banker in a county jail for 30 days, that would make a bigger impact than a $10 million fine.
Well, I mean,
Isn't
it wouldn't-
Hillary and Billary supposed to be testifying today and tomorrow?
And that's going to
I
do
feel like it's
what?
orthogonal.
Speaking
honestly.
of, I heard she put herself in a hospital for a non-life-threatening illness.
To
So,
avoid it. And
Sean, to your point, what if what we do to the bankers doesn't matter to the system?
What if it does?
Right. I'm
The system is
suggesting
ran on code.
that maybe what we do to the bankers might not be like they may just be a tool in a line of tools.
it's a good question, Greg. I think
Because if you pull that
to the
tool
point
out, the
where-
system will just self-repair if we're not at the root cause.
Yeah. I think it's getting to the point. I think it was Coca-Cola 3052 said riot mode incoming. I would just change the word riot into revolution. I don't think it's going to be a civil war. I think it's a revolution. People, right, left, red, blue, purple, whatever, they're feeling the economic pain.
mhm.
And then they're getting ready to say enough is enough. They've been moved out of their home, because they can't afford the rent, the mortgage, whatever. They're living in the car, but you can't live in your vehicle because that is evil. That is wrong. It makes our cities look bad.
Gotta get
you
a
know,
permit.
They won't issue the permits. All of these things, and the people are going to rise up, and they're just going to say enough with this. And the problem is we got to make
Either
sure
that or they're going to stupidly
educated
rise
enough.
up and elect a Democrat.
You got to raise
Just
up enough to realize that A, voting doesn't work. Votes are not counted and verified. That's my opinion. And B, they need to rise up and wake up and say that it's a central banking. It's not a war on the baby boomers or whatever. The baby boomers are wrong when they say, well, you just need to buck up and save money and stop buying those frappuccinos. And back in my day, bullshit. The real minimum wage is really at a dollar is $1.32 when you put it as a gold standard back to 1960. That's what minimum wage should be. Let's put it in perspective. That's the evils of central banking.
Mhm.
And to
the
go
people are
with
waking up.
inflation,
And as long as we keep talking about this and having shows like this, we're going to educate enough people to realize, no, you know what? They already know. They know it in their gut, in their brain. They feel it. They know that this government is not working on their best behalf. They do not take their best interest, in forefront. America First is kind of growing, but is that really the solution? Or is it community first, or no DC first?
Or Americans first?
I will say,
It's
like, when it comes to the minimum
top.
wage, when it comes to the minimum wage and why wages have yet to really increase as inflation continues, gold is the price of gold. You look at the reflection of it. The real minimum wage, if you were to actually raise it, would have to reflect the price of gold through the inflation of the dollar, and that would be like $150 something an hour. And you can't do that. That would collapse it all. So to your point, William, that's exactly it. Like the real minimum wage reflects the gold.
Yep.
So, and
hallelujah, silver's at $63, $65 an ounce. Hallelujah. Pump it. Let's go. Let's effing go. I love it. It brings about the real value of your dollars diminishing into shit.
And Samsung went quietly to Mexico and made a deal with a mine for 2 years of their silver at $80 an ounce for the next.
I feel like we have to bring up the Cantillon effect here, though, right? Like, because the dollar's worth is uneven across the entire economy, and the way that spending by printing happens applies more unevenness, and there's just like sort of a constant cascading chaos vector coming from wherever that spending's happening, and nobody really knows because the actual movements of the accounts are not monitored. There's a lot of question over whether or not what we're seeing in commodity markets is really price moves or micro fluctuation moves of dollar value, right? Like it could literally just be the dynamics of chaotically injecting printed dollars into the economy that make all of the assets right now look like they're moving at all in any meaningful direction.
Yeah. And that's the point too, Greg. It's not that gold, copper, silver is growing in value. It's the dollar that's coming down.
Because it's pegged against the
coming down chaotically and unevenly across the global economy, right? That was the point I was trying to make.
Yeah.
It's like the cow thing I made the point of, if you base your valuation of your gold or your copper, whatever, on a dollar, then it looks like that's going up in value. But it's like you said, it's not just a dollar. And I've tried to make that point to people. The way you can make it is that literally, if you worked for Ford back in the 1920s or whatever, you got paid like an ounce and a half of gold.
Yeah.
And today, you would have been making the same amount of money.
Right.
Yeah.
Or like the candy bar example, right? Like everyone remembers the old person analogy. You're old if you remember when candy bars cost a nickel, right? It's not really that candy bars used to cost a nickel. They actually cost less energy today to make than they used to because of advances in technology of production.
Automation.
Right? So by that logic, you would think that a candy bar would cost a cent by today, given productivity gains, or less even, right? That's actually not what happens. It's $1.50 for a Snickers bar, right? For a tiny Snickers bar now. Where'd that change in what $1 get or what 5 cents gets you come from? Inflation.
But if you paid with a gram of gold, it would still
economy. Right. Is the economy so bad right now?
But if you had to change it into dollars first, there'd be a lot more of them for the same amount of gold.
Is the economy so bad right now that UPS has to use U-Hauls? Rent U-Haul?
No. I you know what? I can speak to that. It has
Aren't
nothing.
they getting new vehicles?
I just saw like U-Haul pull up. I'm like, is my neighbor moving? And no, a UPS guy jumps out of it. I'm like, what?
It's not cheaper.
It's strategic. It's smart. Rather than have that cost of that vehicle that's not needed except for during the peak season, they just.
I can actually give you guys
during heavy peak season shipping. A lot of companies do that.
I can give you guys an approximation though, based on during COVID numbers. I moved from Indiana to Kansas in functionally a U-Haul. Granted, I pulled a hat trick there. If I wanted to pay actual U-Haul prices, I would have had to do something to the tune of Roughly what I pay now, or paid last month for a moving truck of similar size.
Hmm.
But so inflation probably hasn't hit the moving truck industry at all.
That's
That's
a
my
good-
guess.
That's a
What?
good-
2 former Theta Lab executives filed whistleblower lawsuits alleging
I mean, except for cost
deceptive
of gas.
token
but that's
practices and
Well, yeah.
retaliation.
Yeah,
Like-
this shocked me too.
What?
Allegedly, so it's a
Yeah.
whistleblower allegation.
I couldn't. I couldn't doubt
Weird.
that though. Like a lot of
No.
crypto firms CEOs are.
Human frailty, right? We lust for power, we lust for money, we lust.
They're a bunch of
we trade our
cowboys, man.
morals, our ethics. What's that?
Gluttony.
They're a bunch of
We
cowboys.
lust for more. The sin of human pride is gluttony, because we
Mhm.
just want more power, more money, more food, more sex, more everything,
Yeah.
more desire.
But I tell you, I can't get Simon Dixon out of my head when he talks about proof of war instead of proof of work on a blockchain communication.
Yeah.
It's just like, wow.
It's funny you mentioned
POW
Simon
means
Dixon.
something completely different. Years ago, it was prisoner of war. Then it became prisoner of work. Now it's proof of work, and now it's proof of war.
We are at war. The war on crypto has yet to die.
Boy, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Look at Aaron
No,
Days
if we're being
about, I shall not bow, about the people who are in jail, facing jail, reporting to jail today. It's that,
what sucks
it's
is
not
these
just
people
the
didn't
Biden,
sign
it's
up
not
to
just the
be.
Biden. Some of this goes back to way back when, Trump's last, his first term. Like you were saying yesterday on Legacy Right, Greg, who is in charge of the New York AG or SEC?
Oh
Who
yeah,
is
no,
it?
it's Jay Clayton.
And where did he come from?
Yep.
He started the original war on crypto, right?
Right.
Exactly.
He was the one that went after Reggie.
Right.
He went
was
after Dragon.
If you want to understand
And
all
Trump
of
has left him there
Clayton's
for what reason?
policies, I don't know. If you want to understand all of Clayton's policies, just remember exactly everything Gary Gensler was doing. Put the knob back on and dial it back down from 11 to about 3.
Yeah.
Speaking
And
of
Trump
dialing
has
it
him
down
there,
to
why?
11, we watched Spinal Tap 2 last night for family night, and there's a hilarious crypto commercial. It's like, they're talking about the stuff the guys did after they broke up. And the guy's like, being a rock star, I know something about money. And the new money is cryptocurrency. And there's some coin. And my kids are like, is that a real coin? I was like, I'm sure it's not. They're like, I bet it is now. I was like, yeah, you might actually.
Probably. Yeah.
So the loss of the penny, is that a tax?
No.
Is that part of inflation?
Well,
That's just a
so
reflection
that's where-
of the
go
brittleness
ahead.
of the system.
All I can say is the pennies that you have now are going to be worth a lot of money.
It would cause some minor inflation, wouldn't it?
Yep.
If you can't
Round up to
reliably
5
give
cents.
change in a cash business in units of 1,
Mm-hmm.
then you're going to have to raise your prices
Yep.
by at least a cent.
Yep.
Well, a lot of that's where the U.S. has been once again soft. Many countries have had their currencies, destroyed and add a zero. You bring in your dollars, they add a zero. They have a new currency. Like we haven't had that happen yet, and now it's happening.
Mhm.
Clip this.
Yeah, we got clipped. The Roman clip, right?
Yep.
Oh.
Well, the interesting thing, though, is people probably just will stop valuing things in hard currency rather than increase the actual inflation, right? What's going to happen is they'll just say no cash accepted before they'll say we're raising our prices.
Yeah. If I'm gonna a word to the audience, a suggestion: if you want to fight back, but you don't want to do it with crypto, use cash.
Yeah, especially coins.
Force the use of cash. You
Yeah.
know, carry cash
Or-
with you and say, do you accept cash? Tip, maybe if you tip your waiter or waitress with cash.
Force the use of nickels,
Cash
because that's the
viable.
next one on the chopping block.
Yeah. Keep cash viable. Keep cash in the movement. Move cash with more velocity. You know what? Cash is a privacy coin. It's a privacy
It is.
token.
Yeah, it's one of the last ones.
Right. And it can be, unlike every other blockchain token, spent in parallel, unrelated to other transactions.
Mhm. Wow.
So there's no TSA queue with cash, so to speak, to bring back the earlier analogy.
I hope she gets a ventilator if she needs one.
Remdesivir.
Yes, remdesivir and a ventilator, please.
Yep.
Um,
I hope that after many long years, she gets over her permanent now Val Kilmer-ish voice.
No.
Did you see how she threw her daughter under the bus?
I wish her nothing but well.
Sean told me that. Tell,
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
tell them about
Check this
that.
out.
Yeah,
Wow.
so the reporters hit her and they're like, hey, the Clinton Foundation is being looked at for this and the Department of Justice, and you had to answer some questions. And these are her real words. I don't have anything to do with the Clinton Foundation. My daughter's the CEO. I'm just a
Oh,
retired grandmother.
She threw her daughter under the bus?
She's like,
That's
you got to
not
talk to
right.
your daughter. She's the CEO.
That's
And then she said,
I mean, that's
I'm
very
just
Clinton-like,
a
I guess.
retired grandmother. Please make me the president of the world. But I'm
Yeah,
just
a retired grandmother with a position of what on the Forbes list? Right.
Mm,
Boy, isn't that something?
that's funny.
That's
That's funny.
going to be a famous gift. We're going to see that all over
That's
the place.
that's
all the
my
time.
meme. Ode to Joe. That's for Joe.
That might happen soon. That may just happen because of the government.
Yes,
That's
so that's
about to
standing,
form.
that's falling, but the McDonald's sign
Yeah.
Yeah.
held
Well,
strong.
That's
they
true.
are joining
The real America,
Yeah.
Well,
American colonization over there is perfectly intact in the wind.
right, the
Yeah.
McDonald's sign.
We should just replace the Statue of Liberty with a big
Listen.
golden arches.
Good enough for government work.
listen, McDonald's in New York City is about to be nationalized.
Dude, we can put the arches right off the torch.
Right.
We should
I
just
used
make
to
the
say
torch
that
the
Congress
McDonald's sign.
needed-
Damn.
We need
Actually,
to force
we can have that
Congress
right
to wear
now. Let's-
suits with all their, look like a NASCAR. I used to think that and put signs, sponsored. This bill's been sponsored by Pfizer or whatever. And now I'm thinking, no, why even mess or waste your time with all of that?
Yeah.
It's all part of the movie, and I'm walking out of the theater.
This bill has been
watching.
sponsored by Lindsey Graham's Ladybugs.
Chase Bank permanently closed 66 branches. Something positive.
Where am I going to get my cash?
And then all the tellers went and killed the Jedis.
Okay, so I've just asked Grok to imagine me the Statue of Liberty if it were converted into a McDonald's.
Oh no! Show us that, Greg, if you can, and then we'll close out the show. Right, Lisa?
Yeah. We need to.
I'll send
Greg,
the link momentarily so you guys can
Okay.
can have it.
That is
Rock
the
the
most
file.
American thing.
And Merry
In
Christmas.
front of a Maersk. It's in front of a
remember,
Maersk.
next
too.
week it's Monday. Monday show is next instead of Thursday. It's Monday.
Yeah.
That's Rockford
Are you
Files,
sending
right?
a link, Greg.
Yeah,
Yes.
hang on. I just had to get the right one.
Okay.
Sean remembers it.
Grok is a little retarded.
I like that show.
I used to
Back
watch
when
my
I like
grandpa.
Rockford.
I like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, Rockford Files.
There we
is
go.
great.
Okay.
Still is great. It's aged well. I just watched it like 3 years ago. I did a binge watch.
Oh no!
Aged.
Oh,
It's still
no.
generating into video. We'll have that in like 3 seconds.
That's
Look
hilarious.
at those fries.
Oh, here we go. We got the video. He wants the
She does
video.
look a little
Liberty and
chubby,
fries.
David.
She does. She looks a little chubby.
Liberty
she
and
does.
fries.
Try the second one.
Okay,
Lisa.
let me try this one.
Oh, then we're gonna have to go quick.
America.
Okay, everybody go quick. Sean, you start.
Check out me and Lisa on Trick Tuesday and check me out online. I'm doing some giveaways. Be on Twitter and Telegram. You can join the Satoshi Shohan squad over on Telegram. I'll be giving away some $2,000 trading accounts that are funded in the next week or two. So check it out.
All right, Greg, what's up with you?
I'm still mesmerized by this drawing. No, in all seriousness, I've got a few interesting Substack posts that are going to be coming up. I've been silent for a while because I've been working on something pretty deep and kind of intense. So looking forward to putting the first pieces of that out. I have 70 unique posts that are going to go up over the course of the next few months. And I've gotten the first 13 or so of them done. And we're going to start rolling those out like this week. So I'm very excited about it.
Okay, great. Andrew.
Check us out next Monday at the World Blockchain Roundtable. And I'll leave the rest up to Zach.
Okay.
Go forth and check out our latest episode that released everywhere across the podcast sphere, Apple, Spotify, as well as go over to YouTube, The Legacy Right, like and subscribe, and check out our latest Escape from Trumpcatraz. As we dive deep, we actually went into some music too, so we kind of escaped and gave you a little bit of some positive outlook. And that's what we're trying to do, because there's too much negativity in this world. So other than
love
that,
the ending.
I love the ending as well. So, but we'll see you Monday and next Wednesday.
All right.
All right, I am.
I'm going to say next week, Monday, World Blockchain Roundtable. We're going to have another good show. And you know what? I'm going to plug this guy. This is a really good show. Watch it. Are You Smarter Than a Politician? Check out Free. It's a good show.
Okay.
Cool.
And please go check out on Monday. I Am joined me. We did a deep dive on Meme Asylum, and it was a lot of fun. And I learned a lot. And it's a great project. It's another way to kind of stick it to the man, opt out, and have a lot of fun doing it. A great community to join as well. I'm gonna play this on our way out. And we'll see you guys next Monday here on World Blockchain Roundtable. Make sure it's up loud.
At some point, people will look at this body and say, maybe we should get rid of all 435 members of the House and all 100 members of the Senate and start over, because Congress is literally failing the American people. At some point, people will look at this body and say, maybe we should get rid of all 435 members of the House
That's my
and
guy.
all 100 members of the
We
Senate.
should just let that plan
and start
repeat to the
over.
very last second.